What's up, guys? Welcome back to ATEM Off-Road. Today's video, we're going to talk about gear oil replacement in the front and rear axles for Dana 30, 35, and 44. We're also going to talk about fluid type and capacity in these axles and some brands that will make your job a little bit easier. Stay tuned. Okay guys, we are at my favorite place, AutoZone. Let's talk about some oil. Right here is the oil that I use, Valvoline. It's a premium quality petroleum-based mineral oil. 80-90 is what we're gonna put in our gear differentials. You wanna make sure that it is rated GL5. You can use synthetics. So Lucas makes some good synthetic stuff. And also Royal Purple Mobile as well, but you don't see any of the mineral based. It's all synthetic. So STP is another brand. As far as pricing, $6.79. You're gonna pay about $1 and $1.50 more, but you have options between synthetic and mineral based conventional gear oil. And if you're towing or you're heavily using that axle, you may want to consider using a 75, 40 for towing. And some of these oils, keep in mind, have a friction modifier already built in, so you won't have to add any friction modifier to your oil. I believe this one says with friction modifier additive. So if you have a limited slip locker or that option, you would already have this oil would already have the additive in there for you. So that's also a good option. As far as my case, we are using mechanical lunchbox lockers by Eaton, and it's called the True Track. This is going to be perfect for my Dana 44, 35s, and 30s on our TJs. So just a little quick thing, I use this grease as well for all my chassis, ball joints, U-joints, everything like that. That's a good go-to multi-purpose grease. So here I have each axle's housing cover gasket laid out. Let's talk about these gaskets and the oil capacity for each axle. So just keep in mind that the oil capacities for the TJ and the JK are in quarts and pints. Those worked out to be pretty much the same. For the TJs, on the Dana 30, 1.3 quarts, and on the JK, 2.1 pints. And then for the TJ on the 35, we're going to use 1.8 quarts, and on the JK, 3.5 pints. And for the TJ, 2.0 quarts, and on the JK, 2.5 pints. I have 3 gaskets here. We have Lube Locker is a brand, and Felpro. They're going to cost you about 20 bucks for the Lube Locker gaskets, and the Felpros are about $5 each. I've totally gone away with RTV on my axle sealing, the axle housing covers with RTV, and I've went to always replacing them with gaskets. It's super clean, super simple. You clean off all the RTV, and then when you go to replace that housing cover, it just makes things much simpler. I've never had a leak with these gaskets before. So here I'm going to show you how I like to change my differential oil every 15,000 miles. So let's go ahead and do that on the Jeep now. So here I'm just going to take a 13mm or a 1/2-inch wrench. I'm going to start by removing all 10 bolts to the housing cover on this front Dana 30 axle. Notice I leave the top center bolt still threaded into the housing, and I'm going to take this chisel with a little hammer and break free the RTV that's gluing the cover to the housing. And I'm just going to use the chisel to kind of pry back the cover. This helps control the amount of oil coming out of the housing. And then once the majority of the oil has been drained out, we'll go ahead and remove that bolt and just separate the cover from the housing. So my chisel here also doubles as a gasket scraper. One may not agree with the steel to steel contact from the gasket scraper, but a plastic one would be ideal. if it was aluminum. So once all the RTV has been removed, I'll come in with a Scotch-Brite pad and just scrub the surface really good by hand, and that'll make sure that all of the residue and RTV has been removed from the contact surface. Also, if there's any debris that's fallen on the gears, I'll just go ahead and wipe that off real quick and push out any excess oil in the casting here. There's like a hole or a crevice. Just push out any excess oil. We want to make sure we get all that oil out of there. I'll sometimes take a towel. If I can't get it all out with my finger, I'll wipe it out with a towel. So here I'll take some brake clean and I'll just spray the surrounding areas and get any debris or excess oil, old oil, anything out that I can with this contact or brake cleaner. And here I'm just taking a flashlight and I'm looking for abnormalities, anything that's not supposed to be there, chipped or cracked teeth, metal shavings, anything that doesn't look right before I put the cover and oil back in. For this front Dana 30, I'm going to use the Fel Pro gasket. You get about 1 use out of it, maybe 2. So for my rear Dana 35 axle, I'm going to go ahead and try this gasket by Lube Locker. They say you get about 5 to 6 uses out of it. The gasket itself is a metal base coated with rubber, and they say it won't split or extrude during installation, and it has superior torque retention. So on the packaging, I like how it gives you the torque sequence for the housing cover, and I'm just going to try this gasket out. I'll take the top bolt and slip it through the cover and gasket and start threading the bolts and sealing the cover to the housing. I replaced all 10 original housing bolts with these grade 8 bolts. They are 5/16 by 3/4 inch long, and I really like how clean they look, and it just makes things look a lot nicer. If you're lucky and this metal tag is still on your axle housing, go ahead and put that back on. It's going to tell you the gear ratio of your differential. In my case, it's just 410 gearing. So once all 10 bolts are installed, I'm going to take my torque wrench and set it to 30 foot-pounds and torque each bolt in a cross pattern, starting with the top, and then I'm going to move straight down to the bottom and then over to the top side and back and forth in a cross hatch pattern. So once those are torqued, I'm going to remove the fill plug, which is also magnetic. You want to make sure that's clean, and drop in the 1.3 quarts into the housing. I have this hose that's attached to the nipple of the bottle, so it easily can just be squeezed right into the housing. So once the fluid starts dripping out like this at the bottom of the hole, I'm going to go ahead and stop filling up the housing with oil and install my cap. You just want to make sure there's a pan underneath to catch any excess oil that overflows, but this here is an indication that oil is at the bottom level of the hole, and we are done filling up the housing. Install the fill plug, and I'm going to torque the fill plug to 25 foot-pounds. Well guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video and you can take something from it. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, helps out the channel, and check out some other videos that may be helpful to you. And stay tuned because we're going to be fixing up this axle. We're replacing some U-joints and installing new hubs, new brakes, and I'll be installing in a lift kit coming real soon. So stay tuned for those videos coming in the future. Also, if you can, stop by my Instagram where I show a lot of sneak peeks between filming and making these YouTube videos. So check that out. And as always, have a good day. We'll see you on the next Jeep mod. Peace.